Mr. Double.
I'd like to thank the League for hosting the event tonight and the opportunity for those who elected me to be their voice at the council's table during the last 4 years. That vote elected your new city manager, the new interstate bridge and restoration plan of the historic bridge, the preservation investment in the Masonic Temple and Friendship Center, a private-public partnership initiated with the Bud King Arena, and the public use of that facility for future events from April to September. Completion of the airport upgrades, Gilmore 61 intersection, start of the first dog park in the near future, and a voice in future plans for Levy Park from Huff to Walnut, along with all the downtown initiatives. Winona is the third largest Minnesota river port, only after St. Paul and Savage, in tonnage moved in 2015. The sixth largest in Minnesota. A total of 1,700,000 tons of commodities were moved through Winona. Winona, like most cities, has 4 key attributes: water, rail, road, and air, and indirectly support agriculture, public safety, and industry beyond the comprehension of most. It is also important to note that our Minnesota Marine Art Museum chose to locate next to the port as a reminder of its importance in our history. Tourism enhances the quality of life, whether that is attributed to our almost 25% of land mass committed to public parks and open space, the cultural enhancements afforded by our 3 higher educational learning centers, and a community of people engaged in theater, music, and art. The natural beauties of the bluff, the wildlife, provide a gateway for us to share our love of the area with visitors. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you and our community in the past 4 years.
Mr. Scholmeyer.
The past 30 years of my life have been dedicated to improving our natural environment as well as educating people in our community about the world we share. I think Winona is probably the most beautiful city in the state. We are leaders in education, the arts, industry, agriculture, and shipping. We should do more to promote our cultural assets and invest in an infrastructure that supports them and the residents of the city. I grew up in Winona, working for small businesses and playing in the bluffs, valleys, and on the river. I graduated high school in '76 and college in '82 and '08. I'm a small business owner that focuses on safe and energy-efficient homes and have recently worked in the Winona area as an interpreter for the deaf and a middle school science teacher. Active participation in service organization guides my community involvement as I choose to lead by doing. Over the past 4 years, I've served on the Winona County Soil Water Conservation District, the last 2 as chair. My goals for the city include building a collaborative bridge between the city and its educational institutions, support housing options that follow a well-written comprehensive plan while reaching for grant opportunities that can help new homeowners improve their property, promote Winona as the destination arts center of Southeast Minnesota, establish Winona as a green step city, find and locate businesses that will process and manufacture products from our dead and dying ash trees, incentivize small business development, and develop a multimodal transportation infrastructure that reduces reliance on automobiles. I hope my investment will have an even bigger impact with a seat on the City Council.
Thank you, candidates, for your opening statements. We are now ready for our first question. Our first question will begin with Ms. Tromble. What is the biggest financial challenge facing the City of Winona, and how will the City Council and Mayor work to find solutions while limiting tax increases?
I think one of the challenges the city has is that slightly over 50% of the funding comes from the state. So should we go and take out a loan or a bond, and that bond is not being paid back through revenue funds such as utility bills and such, what happens when the funds from the state don't come through? We're going to have to increase taxes again. So that's one of my concerns. especially as it ties into the bonding that is currently proposed. Thank you.
Mr. Thurley.
Thank you. We have in our community about, I think, 25% of our land is non-taxed entities, and that's just a fact of life. So our property taxes that the city uses consists of 75% basically of the land of the property taxpayers. And so local government aid is very important for us, and I think the city has been over the years very proactive in working with the legislature to continue that process. Our housing stock, for example, is very old. Most of the houses in Winona have been were built prior to 1939, which is part of the reason for the LGA formula we currently have. So we do have a good, solid base with local government aid, but that's at the whim of the legislature, and I wish the legislature would, and I think the city has been working toward using that local option sales tax as another way to hopefully raise additional revenue. Thank you.
Ms. Iden.
Winona has a very excellent credit rating, and so I think that now is really an excellent time, using the low interest rates that are available to us now and our good credit rating. Now is an excellent time to invest in our future, and I think that failing to do that would create a big problem. We need funds to push ahead with some projects that will attract new businesses downtown and that will revivify our whole downtown and the central city. And that takes money. A lot of the projects that we're entertaining the idea of pushing forward now have been on the table for years, and we need to move ahead now. I think the biggest financial challenge would be to fail to do any of those things. For many reasons, one of which we don't hear so much about Destination Medical Center Rochester right now, but Rochester is growing, and we need to keep that in mind.
Mr. Stanek.
Well, I believe we should not be investing money in Levy Park at the time being, because it's there. I've lived here all my life, and very few people go down there. A few people go down there and fish or walk through that park. What we need to do is take down that iron fence down there so people can enjoy that down there. But to invest so much money in that right now, it should be done over a number of years instead of all at once. And to raise taxes so high, to do all these projects so quick, we should just be doing a few at a time. Our roads in the city of Winona are in terrible shape, and I think we should be investing our money in the streets, especially 3rd Street. We should widen it. It's the East End gateway to downtown. To buy flags for, that's not a financial sound thing to do. I believe that we should just put more money into the roads into Winona, because it will bring more people here, tourism and everything like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Double.
Yes. Winona, about 12 different cities in southeast Minnesota, has the lowest tax burden of any of them. Interest rates are low, and it's a good opportunity for a lot of these projects that have been on the books for a number of years. The roof on the Masonic Temple, the change of the Freon necessary at the ice rink to upgrade that into the current approved methods. All of those things take money, and there are things that, while others have put those things on the back burners, we've stepped forward and funded those things so that we can move forward and make sure that our older buildings are preserved and that we're environmentally sensitive to the coolants that were used on the arena.
Mr. Scholmeyer.
Could you please reread the question?
What is the biggest financial challenge facing the city of Winona, and how will the city council and mayor work to find solutions while limiting tax increases?
Well, Winona is facing a work shortage. We need to find a way to attract high-quality, younger workforce. And I think by having a higher quality of life here in Winona, we'll attract them and help increase and improve our tax base. One of the ways that we can do that is by building the infrastructure that we need that makes them feel that they're safe and protected and healthy. I think we can work to help people improve their homes and the housing stock in Winona by finding grants and aids for those people that need to make the improvements in efficiency and energy savings in their homes. So I think making that quality of life a priority will be able to build that tax base.
Mr. Peterson.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that Winona's in very good shape financially. We have an excellent finance director and finance department, and I think the city manager and the department heads have done a good job this year in putting together a reasonable budget. We do have the challenge of the concern of 1/3 of our budget being supported by local government aid. The city always budgets 10% less, and anticipating there could be a cut to that. So that's built in. The biggest financial challenges I think we have to do with the tax-exempt properties. 1/3 of our properties are tax-exempt in the city. There's not a lot we can do about that, but that continues to grow. Sewer, water, infrastructure, our streets. We've been putting $1 million a year into fixing up our streets. We've been doing 50 to 60 blocks every year for the past 4 years. We have great tax capacity, as Paul already alluded to. We're lower than Rochester, Austin, Albert Lee. Sorry, that was a fast minute.
Thank you. Moving on to our second question, we'll begin with Mr. Thurley. With the disbanding of the United Way, how can the City Council and Mayor support the many important organizations that serve the citizens and especially the youth of Winona?
Well, there are already several organizations in place that provide those services. As far as the City Council goes, we have a wonderful recreation department, and many of the services that are currently provided will continue, obviously, as well as our library system, and I think that's a real asset to youth of this community. In fact, all people in this community. We have a wonderful historic building, and we've invested significant resources to maintain that building for everybody's use going forward. So, and besides, we have other institutions in the community. So I think the slack will be picked up by those other institutions, and the city will continue to do what it does with some of the other departments in our city.
Ms. Iden?
Yes, I think that one of the things the City Council and the Mayor could do is to work with the county to restore some of the social programs that it has drastically cut in the last few years. Together with the demise of the United Way, that's going to make an impact, and we are going to feel it in Winona. There are going to be a lot of people needing services, and we need to encourage the county to restore the services. But I also think that we can do a lot with our recreation programs. We've expanded the recreation programs for the city, and there's no reason we couldn't form new collaborations with the school system to get more kids involved.
Mr. Stanek?
Will you read the question to me again?
With the disbanding of the United Way, how can the City Council and Mayor support the many important organizations that serve the citizens and especially the youth of Winona?
Which organizations are you talking about them supporting? Like,
I can just read the question, that's it.
Okay. Well, the United Way, I think they're leaving Winona, right?
They are.
So then it probably would be up to the City Council to help out the organizations in some way to make up for the slack of the United Way not being there. That's my answer.
Mr. Double?
Winona's always been a very generous town, and particularly its citizenry has always been active in helping whatever organization has needed help. We are blessed with a huge bank of volunteers across every church and other organization that's in Winona. And I have no doubt that while we will miss their presence, others will step up and answer that cause. And I think that it may challenge some new people to come up with some fresh ideas that would further support those as well.
Mr. Schulmeyer.
The United Way really has served as an umbrella organization for many of the agencies working in town. I would strongly encourage the city to leverage some of the support that they can get statewide to bring that recognition to the other organizations that are there looking for assistance. But this is my message to you, the people of the community. It's time. Our generation is up. It's time for us to step forward. When organizations flounder, we have to step up and take the torch and do the work that needs to be done. I encourage all Winona citizens to actually join the line and help with these volunteer organizations to get the work done.
Mr. Peterson.
Well, I think it's a sad thing that the United Way has gone out of business, but I think they've gone out of business because people's giving have changed a lot over the last several years, and I think that these organizations, for the most part, are going to do fine using other kinds of ways of raising money. I think that the community will step up. We are an amazingly generous community, and I believe that'll happen. I think the city does have a role with providing youth programs through our park rec and through our library programs, and we do a good job of that. But I think everybody's going to be fine, I think.
Ms. Tropple.
Just because the United Way is disbanding doesn't mean that the donations are going to stop. So instead of donating through the United Way to the various organizations, people need to direct their funds directly to those organizations. Winona, as several of us indicated, is a community of givers. It's beyond what I have experienced in all the different places I've lived. So I know the people of the community will come to the aid should it be necessary. In addition, the United Way of La Crosse or Seven Rivers also provides support to this area. So that may be something that the city can begin conversations with and maybe get a little bit more engaged and collaborate a little bit more and get some of our organizations as part of that. So, thanks.
Our next question is directed toward the mayoral candidates. And we will begin with Mr. Peterson. As the mayor of Winona, what will be your top 3 priorities for future growth and development of the city?
I think one of the things I guess I'm most interested in is the arts and the culture and the outdoor recreation. This seems to be an area that the city can compete in. We can certainly compete in quality of life. We can't compete as well in the land, but we certainly can in quality of life. And I think that a lot of the people that live here and the people that want to live here and the people we want to attract to live here find it important to have those sorts of qualities. I think that in the future of Winona, for our lack of land is going to have to be at level fields up in I-90 and 43 corridor, not the corridor so much, but up near I-90. If we want to have businesses that want to continue to grow, that's where it's going to have to be. I think that these are ways that Winona can grow, and I think can help our businesses.
Ms. Tropple.
I think one of the areas that we currently have a gap with is the millenniums. I'm not sure that our generation, or this generation, really understands where they're at from their thinking, what they want, what makes sense as far as their living and their lifestyle. I've had conversations with some people who recently moved here, and they were younger, and they love the environment, they loved the outdoors. I think we do have a challenge with skill sets, ensuring that we have jobs for them. And the other area is with the inner city homes, we've got a lot of, I think, voids in neighborhood type communities because of the number of rentals. Well, because of Winona State's decrease in enrollment and some of the apartments that are coming up, I just got the stop sign. Okay, we can talk later on this.
All right. Our next question is directed towards the candidates for City Council, and we will begin with Ms. Iden. As a City Council member, what will be your position on the building of a new elementary school for the future young students of Winona?
That's a hot one. I think that there very well may be a need to build a new elementary school, but I'd be very cautious in supporting that without understanding the work of the new committee that's just being formed to take another look at how to preserve the inner city schools, some of them, and how to proceed. I think the demographics are clear, that we don't have the student base. The engineering fact of the matter is that a lot of these schools need more money poured into them than really we can support. So I would support the building of a new elementary school after we follow the process here that we're engaged in.
Mr. Stanek.
I would like us to keep the elementary schools we have, maybe a bunch of kids more up and less of them, but I would like us to keep Jefferson, Goodview, and WK because they're well-built buildings, and I went to WK as a kid, and it's a very nice school. And to build a new school, I don't think Winona people can afford that kind of tax increase to build a new school. So I'm against building a new school.
Mr. Double.
Well, I'm delighted that I'm not on the school board anymore because I was on there for 10 years and I don't envy them making the decisions that they will be needing to make in the next few years. I would like to say that I think that one of the things that the city has done by reinvesting in, like re-roofing the Masonic Temple, and that is what happens when you do maintenance. Maintenance is expensive, but it catches up with you eventually, and that maintenance needs to be done. And I think that other people need to consider that whichever overpass is built, whether it be Mankato or the other, they all come out on the corner where WK is, on Mankato and Sanborn. And so it's a serious consideration that we need to interwork with the school board, and also to look at the idea that if any of those buildings are abandoned, that creates housing opportunity for Winona.
Mr. Scholmeyer.
An extremely difficult situation. I think we all grew up in neighborhood schools and we would really prefer to have those. But that said, if we are unable to maintain the schools that we have cost effectively, then we need to come up with a solution. I think the city can participate in that solution with the school board. I would have a difficult time, however, supporting an elementary school that requires 400 individual cars to drive to it just to drop off their children. We need to find a place, if we're going to build a school within the city. Neighborhoods are important to our community and to school life, and having a school out in a field on the far reaches of town is not going to make it work. So I think we can find a way, working with the school board and the council, to make that work.
Mr. Thurley.
Thank you. I don't envy the school board members in their decision going forward with this issue. I think it's a very, very difficult one. And on this side of the table, as far as city council goes, I think that the school board will make their decision and the council should do all it can to work with the school board to make that decision the best thing it could be for our community.
Thank you. Our next question is for all candidates, and we will begin with Mr. Stanek. There are 2 universities and 1 college in Winona. What is your opinion of the town and gown connection? Is there anything you appreciate from it? Is there anything you would do to improve it?
Say it one more time. I didn't get the wrong part.
There are 2 universities and 1 college in Winona. What is your opinion of the town and gown connection? Is there anything you appreciate from it? Is there anything you would do to improve it?
Well, I think we could work with the university and see if there's anything we can do to help them grow as a university. I don't know, I'm kind of lost on the question. I think I'm just going to pass on this one.
Mr. Double.
In 1968, when I brought my bride and moved to Winona, I thought, what a great place. It's got 3 colleges and universities, and kids can all go there. It's going to save a bundle of money, and not one of my kids went to school there. So we got them through K-12, but then they went on to Stout and UMD and other places. It is an attraction. We need people to move to Winona and relocate. The universities provide people to think the same way that I did back then, that it would help them. And particularly in the trades. Right now, we have such a shortage of people in our trades, it's pathetic. And it's only going to get worse, because most people think that they need to have a 4-year degree in order to succeed in life. And I think they need to understand the value that 3 choices present to them, and to make, and hopefully it will help Winona to grow and prosper.
Mr. Schulmeyer? When I was growing up in Winona, there were 4 colleges, and one is no longer here. I'm a graduate from 2 of them. And I couldn't agree with Mr. Double more, actually. I think we should have some type of collaborative bridge built between the city leaders and leaders from our educational institutions, so that we can find a way to educate the leaders of the future and get them jobs that are needed within the community. The colleges are really an economic engine for Winona, and I think without sitting down with their leaders, business leaders, all of us breaking bread together, we won't solve the problems of the future without actually discussing them mutually.
Mr. Peterson.
Well, Winona has always valued its higher education, especially its universities and colleges, and we have good communication now between city leaders and our university folks, and I think that, you know, the complaints that we hear about the students are really just a very small minority of students that maybe do some vandalism and steal campaign signs possibly, but we have a university at Winona State that provides 1,000 good-paying jobs, St. Mary's as well, and our technical college. The technical college provides training for manufacturing and other jobs, with the cultural activities that these schools bring to Winona. We have a safety committee that's been working with Winona State to make the area around Winona State safer, brighter, better pedestrian crossings. That's having some impact. Sorry.
Ms. Tropple.
So everything about what I appreciate, and I think what the community appreciates, has been said. So noted, it's been repeated a couple of times. I think the area of improvement is in the area of communication and collaboration. We have an opportunity again with this millennium group of people to really bridge the gap. I don't think this generation understands what makes them tick. And I think that's something that we really have to understand in order to get better collaboration between that. And that's about it.
Mr. Thurley.
Thank you. Back, I think almost before Winona, or about the time Winona became a city, the citizens of Winona invested money and petitioned the legislature to develop a state normal school or teacher training institution. So my point is that we in the community have always valued our institutions like that, and it's only grown from there. And I think we've done a good job as a community in recognizing that. We have a volunteer here, in fact, from Winona State who's helping with this forum. So that's a definite advantage in our community in our supply of volunteers, and not only of volunteers, but those that come for their education, but also have part-time jobs. So, I mean, it's an economic engine, as others have said. So I think it's very important for us to work together. I've been in other communities where that separation has definitely been evident. And I don't think that that's true here in Winona, and I don't think it'll be true in the future. Thank you.
Ms. Iden.
When I first heard the question, I couldn't understand quite what was meant, the town and gown situation. And maybe it's my ears, maybe I just haven't heard that term before. But if you're implying that there's a great separation between the town and the university, my experience in the last 4 years has been completely the opposite. There is so much interweaving of effort and reward between the university and the town that I don't see it as a division. I have been working on a pedestrian safety committee with people from the university, with staff and with students, to improve safety around the college, around the university, and downtown. We have recreational facilities available through the university that we wouldn't have otherwise. I just rented a kayak a couple of days ago from the university. So I don't see that there is a division.
I do have a brief announcement. Due to our late start, we will go about 5 minutes later than we were originally scheduled, so we will end at 7:05. And that gives us time for one last question. For this question, we will start with Mr. Double. What will you do to address concerns regarding silica dust from the frac sand facilities within the city?
Winona has two primary issues, frac sand being one, of which Winona has absolutely no control over regulating the mining operations. We have one that's grandfathered in, and unless they can change state statute, I don't see any way, shape, or form that can be prevented from continuing to operate as it needs to. There was no frac sand, to the best of my knowledge, loaded at the port last year. The bulk of everything that was loaded, contrary to what people may think, was grain and distillers grain, DDGs, and agricultural products. But no frac. Most of the facilities that I've seen in Wisconsin are putting in rail loops. They have no reason to come to Winona. My thought is that I would much rather see dust controls put in at any facility that generates dust, which can be done by misting. Technology is old, it's been around for years, it works at mining sites all over the country. And to me, is far more effective is to not let the problem be created in the first place.
Thank you. Mr. Scholmeyer.
I would fully support fence line monitoring, so air monitors at any processing facility. I might even extend that to other facilities that have dust issues. I mean, I really think that the health and well-being of the community comes before the economic interests of people. I think you can have monitors that can identify and capture and inform us about what kind of particulates are in the air. I would fully support fence line monitoring for silica sand dust.
Mr. Peterson.
Winona was fortunate in seeing first what was happening in Wisconsin, and the city put a moratorium on this industry. And during that year of the moratorium, we came up with an ordinance that I think is a good ordinance, and it was passed shortly after I became mayor. The big issue now seems to be about these air monitors, and I guess I personally share a concern, but I think that the responsibility for air monitoring, controlling our air quality, and monitoring that belongs with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. It's their job, and I don't know that we have the expertise and the staff to do the monitoring ourselves. I think first I would like to see what the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency comes back with, and I just think that it's their job to do this. If they don't do it, then I would be happy to join in a conversation about doing it ourselves and forcing it.
Ms. Trauble.
So it may be MPCA's job, but I think it's the city's responsibility that if we identify that there's an issue, that we need to call them in. I drive that river road often, especially in the summer, and when they were loading barges with the silica sand, there was a lot of dust in the air. So whatever the monitoring that was done on the YMCA, I just don't think that was probably the right place for it. If that is a concern for the community, I think you need to talk with your council people and your mayor. And if I'm the mayor, I will work with the MPCA and see what we can do to get more engagement and some monitoring once the barges start loading again, if that happens. But right now, it doesn't seem to be an issue.
Mr. Thurley.
Thank you. Once this all began, we really, staff working with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, really created a pretty good program. We have a dust mitigation program already in place that addresses some of the issues, not all of them, but it addresses some of them, and they've applied not only to silica sand, but other commodities that are transported or moved within the city. So I think we're on the right track. It's not that everything is perfect, and I agree with candidate Scholmeyer that I support fence line monitoring where it is needed, and to get some results and then take those results and create something that is going to be beneficial for everyone, especially those that reside in the city. So again, we continue to do with what we already have begun, and we modify going forward. Thank you.
Ms. Iden.
Could you read the question again, please?
What will you do to address concerns regarding silica dust from the frac sand facilities within the city?
Okay, to address concerns, I think we do need to step out. I think there's been a wide show of hands, a big show of hands in favor of fence line monitoring. There's a big concern. We've several workshops and seminars 3 years ago brought those forward, that there is reason to be concerned at this point. The fact that the MPCA has not come out with its rules yet does not surprise me. It's a complicated issue. But meanwhile, we're breathing the air. And when I drive down by the port and I see those clouds of dust, clouds of sand, and it's not all sand. It may be that gypsum, or it may be grain, it may be something else, but I am definitely in favor of fence line monitoring now and keeping the dust down. It's just dirty to do otherwise.
Mr. Stanek.
I'm going to pass on the question because I'm not sure what
right.
I think about it.
We are now nearing the end of our forum, and we'd like to ask each candidate to present a 1-minute closing remark. We will begin with Mr. Scholmeyer.
First off, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for the forum this evening. I also want to thank our current council people for their service to the city. It's honorable, and I want to acknowledge that work. People who volunteer, who serve civically, don't often get the recognition that they need. I think Winona really has an opportunity to make an impact on the quality of life of the people who live here and the people who are going to live here in the future. I think Winona can be really the destination arts center of southeast Minnesota, maybe even the whole region. I think I would encourage the residents of the community to vote for me, for City Council at large, and I'll do what I can to make that possible.
Mr. Peterson.
Well, again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for giving people the opportunity to meet the candidates and to hear our positions on important issues facing the city of Winona. I think the past 4 years has shown the citizens that I have what it takes to be a good mayor. Working alongside other council members and city staff, much has been accomplished, but still much remains to be done. I've worked hard to be an engaged mayor, one who listens and tries to help, one who is at the table and works for solutions, one who supports the staff and most of all the city manager, and most importantly, someone who shows up when the mayor needs to be present, whether it is meeting with railroad officials, congressional leaders, developers, legal issues, or visiting with the folks in our nursing homes to let them know what is going on in the city. With your vote, I pledge to continue to help grow business in Winona, keep Winona safe, and maintain the high quality of life we enjoy and much more. Thank you.
Ms. Tropple.
So as I said in my opening statement, I am not in favor of the 2 million plus levy project. I think it's important that the community members that also feel that way reach out to your council people and your mayor and let them know, because come December, that's a done deal. And if I make the office, that means that project's a go. I want to be your advocate for change and improvements. I want to be the protector of your pocketbook, which I am very prudent fiscally. And I want to be your conduit for communication into and out of City Hall. Thank you. I want to be your mayor.
Mr. Thurley.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters of Winona for this forum. I look forward to continuing to represent the residents of the First Ward on the council. I'm honored to do so with the same attention to detail and response to constituent questions that I've demonstrated in the past. I believe I've not missed a single regularly scheduled council meeting since I was first elected in 1990, and as well as most of the special meetings for the City Council, as well as those on other organizations I was appointed to, like the Port Authority. I'm passionate about my hometown, and I look forward to working hard and making decisions that not only preserve our past, but enhance our already terrific future. Thank you.
Ms. Iden.
I have been honored to serve as the Third Ward Councilwoman for 4 years, and it's been very satisfying. I've participated in the Levy Park Committee. I've participated in the I helped form the Pedestrian Safety Committee, and we have done a lot of work on the bridge, the Visual Quality Committee. All of these are big projects, and I've been delighted to see that they've come to some fruition in just the 4 years that I've been here. But let me tell you, one of the most satisfying things for me, and surprising things for me, about being a city council person is the conversations I have with people who call me. And they may call with a complaint, they may call with 20 minutes of complaints. They may call with an idea. But the honor of getting to talk to people has been really gratifying. I want you to know that I do my homework and I show up and I will answer phone calls. I will return phone calls. Thank you.
Mr. Stanek.
We have a great quality of life here in Winona, and but there's things that need improvements, and I think we can just do a little bit at a time, so we don't raise taxes real high for the people of Winona. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting me tonight, and it was really fun. Thank you.
Mr. Double.
Again, I would like to thank the League for hosting this event. The important continuing issues of pedestrian safety, levee park enhancements, downtown housing and retail growth, railroad crossings, and railroad safety will be on the table during the next 4 years. A community discussion on the future of the area from Huff to Main and from the river to Fifth needs to be made. I will continue to support and repair the planned replacement of our aging public infrastructure, utility lines, and streets, rather than deferring those items to future councils. I will continue following past examples to maintain the city's high credit rating by being frugal whenever it makes sense. Winona has a bright future, challenged only by the ability of new families and lots of kids to meet the employment opportunities now and in the future, and to fill our classrooms as we make the generational transition and workforce needs for industry, healthcare, construction, and tourism. We need people with trade skills, healthcare professionals, and others in all the skill sets to fill the jobs now and down the road. They, with our strong work ethic, I will ask for your vote.
Thank you. We're now at the end of our time for this forum. I'd like to thank all of the candidates for an informative event. I'd like to thank our co-sponsors, AAUW Winona Chapter, Project Find, the Women's Resource Center of Winona, and the Winona State University Social Work Students, American Democracy Project, and Student Senate. We'd like to thank HBC for taping this educational forum. Pending the availability of the public access government channels, we do plan to rebroadcast this forum. It will also be available on the League of Women Voters Winona Facebook page within the next few days. We'd like to share the dates and times of our upcoming League of Women Voters General Candidate Forums. Our next would be Monday, September 12th, General Election Forum 3, Minnesota Legislature Senate, in question regarding the referendum. Wednesday, September 14th at 6 p.m., General Election Forum 4, which would be Winona County Commissioner 3rd and 4th Districts, and the Winona County Soil and Water District 2nd, 3rd, and 5th Districts will all begin that same night at 7:30 p.m. 7 p.m. on Tuesday, September 20th is the forum for the Winona Area Public School Board Districts 2, 3, 4, and 5, as well as information on referendum ballot items. Tuesday, October 4th at 6:30 p.m. will be a general election forum for the 1st Congressional District candidates. I'd also invite all the audience members to stay tonight, for at 7:30 we will begin the City of Goodview Mayor and City Council seat forums. These events will all feature televised candidate statements and time for the public present to directly meet candidates after the televised portion. All League of Women Voters general election forums will be held here at the Winona City Hall Council Chambers throughout October of 2016. Due to the number of forums, the times do vary, so please watch the local media and publicity for updates on these opportunities. If you need information on becoming a registered voter, call the Winona County Auditor or the Winona City Clerk. If you are not registered to vote and are planning to vote, you may register to vote online at the Minnesota Secretary of State's office until October 18th for the general election. Minnesota does allow voter registration at the polls on Election Day. Please check the Minnesota Secretary of State's website on the process, as several items of identification must be provided on Election Day to election judges. MNLWV.org is a website you may also use for general voter service information. The League of Women Voters Winona members will also be at several community locations for voter registration assistance. If you register at one of these opportunities, bring a valid driver's license or identification card. Please vote. The general election is on Tuesday, November 8th, and the polls are open 7 a.m. through 8 p.m. Thank you and have a great evening.